Have you ever thought to yourself, you only have 3 things left to do, and they require hand sewing on the previous costume that you're working on, which, if you haven't seen that video, go check it out. And thought to yourself, I only have a couple things left. I should probably just hunker down and finish it, right? No. So instead, what's gonna happen is that I am actually gonna start another costume. Today I'll be constructing a gown for my dearest and closest friend, SweetBunBean, who is the most amazing person. We had the idea of doing a duo cosplay together, and since I'm on this Barbie kick, I thought, let's do Princess and the Pauper together, because why not? Discussed it, and we both decided that Erica, since Erica was my favorite, I would be Erica and she would be Anneliese. Princess Anneliese. Let me put some dang respect on her name. I have all the fabric for her, and I'm going to get started. I'm hoping that this is only like a short project and all that. Without further ado, I'm gonna transport over to the couch and go through all the fabric choices that I got. Now, how the heck do I get down from here? Don't think stepping on me. So, here is the lovely base fabric that we'll be using today for both her skirt and top, which is a nice crepe back satin. The only reason why I decided to use this fabric is because no other place has any light pink fabric of this color. I don't know why it's so hard to find pinks online, but this is the more affordable option that I could find, and after talking with SweetBunBean, we decided that this is the best fabric to go. And the shininess will be dulled with everything that is going in it. Of course, I have some leftover lining fabric from my Odette cosplay from Barbie Swan Lake, so we'll be using that for the lining of the top. Here is the overlay fabric, which is a nice sheer organza, also in a very light pink. I also got this lovely lace for the front of her bodice, which I wish was a little bit closer together, but it looks nice. And again, this is not my dress, and I've already talked to my friend and she loves it, so that's all that matters to me, is that she loves it. And then finally, I found some white satin fabric, which I probably bought as a remnant at like Walmart or something, and we'll be using that for the front. Reuse, recycle. So, how this dress is actually going to work out is that I'm going to start with the skirt, then work on the bodice, and then, yeah, that's it. She will be creating the crown herself, which is exactly where I'm getting my Barbie Swan Lake Odette's crown, because I tried to make it and it failed. So she will probably be making the crown herself with her 3D printer, which, no shame in using a 3D printer for your props. I think it's a very useful tool. Don't let anyone discourage you from using it. Now, on to the first part, which is the circle skirts. So here we are doing the standard circle skirt. So basically all you do is take the measurement of your waist, and then you just plop in the circumference into that formula, and then there you go, you get your circle skirt. Granted, this is for my friend who has a much smaller waist than me, and I think I messed up somewhere along the line with just the cutting process, because in my brain, I'm really dumb. So, it worked out all in the end. I'm gonna go hang this up and then work on some bodice pieces, as well, can't see me, as well as cut out the circle skirt for the organza way, which is gonna be slightly longer. And then tomorrow, if I have time, I will finish up the skirt. So I messed up. I wasn't thinking, and I cut on the wrong fold, but we're making it work because thank goodness that the circle part of the circle skirt is actually much bigger than my friend's waist. And how do I know this? Well, that is because this skirt fits around my waist. Granted, not comfortably, but my waist is significantly bigger than her waist. So I think I'm gonna have to gather it down no matter what. So I think what we can do is once I get the pocket in with the organza, I gotta let the organza layer stretch. So once I get the pockets in, I can gather it down and then work from there and not have to go and buy more of that, because unfortunately I got that at Joann's and I can't go down to my local Joann's, which is actually not my local Joann's. It's a 50-minute drive from where I live, and get it, and I don't know if I can, because I don't want to waste it. So I think I figured it out. It's still 10 inches, no, 20 inch. No, it's actually 10 inches bigger than her actual waist. So I lucked out on that end, that I made the circumference of the circle bigger by accident. I lucked out. So we are going to give that a day to stretch. I'm waiting for my trim to dry in order to put it on the bodice and sleeves. And then I realized I have to do a whole nother set of trim because there's also trim around her waist. So as that's hanging, I am gonna go do that. Just cut out our bodice pieces. So these bodice pieces I already measured out when I was visiting my friend. So everything is perfect to her size. So that is fantastic. And I have blue chalk on my fingers. That is fantastic for me. So I have half the sleeve pattern. I have the side front. I have the back. I have the side back, and I have the front. The front, we're not gonna worry about that right now. So here we are tracing out the bodice pattern onto the leftover skirt fabric, because I usually do my skirts first before I do all this, so I can just use up whatever I have left over. And then we are going to cut it out and get it ready for assemblage. So Princess Anneliese has a quilting pattern on her bodice. Some people use thread marks, some other people use ribbon, others use paint. I'm using ribbon for this because I thought it looked really nice and pretty, and if I could just sew it on in the diagonals to make the diamonds. Now I will say my diamonds did not come out perfectly, like they don't perfectly match up to each other, but they are as close as possible. Diamonds and geometric shapes like that are very difficult for me to match up perfectly. I stitch them on with a very, very small stitch so that they aren't as noticeable to the naked eye. If you look at it closely, you will be able to see the stitch lines, but from afar, you can't really see them. So we are at least halfway through with this pinning and lattice work, and these are about 3 inches apart. I just wanted to throw that in there before I showed the final product with the pearls in the middle. And now we go. So there are some spots that don't have pearls on them just yet. I'm gonna go sew up these panels together and then put the pearls into the sections that I missed, because I don't know how close they're gonna get, if I can even put pearls on there. We'll see. So let's go do that. So do you remember that piece that we tossed to the side for a little while ago? So now it is time to do the middle portion of the bodice. I'm taking over that leftover piece of satin and I'm putting the pattern on the folds so that it can be symmetrical to itself. I'm going to do the exact same thing for the gold overlay. Now I'm going to base the gold overlay onto the satin so it just doesn't slide around at all while I am sewing it to the rest of the bodice. Look at that. So far, it is looking really good. Granted, I gotta do a couple trims here and there because this stuff likes to stretch and pull. Now I just have to sew up these bits and see if I need to add any more pearls to it. So I'm gonna go sew that up. Can we take a peek at the major mistake that I made? Just take a really close peek at it. I cannot believe I did that. I sewed the two sides to the wrong sides. Alright, now that everything is pressed, sewn together, before we do anything else like the lining, any boning I decide to put. I don't think it needs boning. It's got plenty of interfacing on it. They're pretty similar in diamond shapes, I will say. Anyways, before we do anything, she's got these little, she's got decorations all over the front, including the side. Now, before I decide to put in any lining, I think I should put on the decoration so all the stitch lines are hidden underneath the lining, and yeah, I think that's the best course of action. So now I'm going to take you over to underneath the ironing table real quick. Probably wondering to yourself, Mads, where do you get all your trims and lace and everything else that you use for your costume making? I will tell you that the majority of the time I just steal it from the stash that me and my sibling have accumulated over the many, many years that we've existed. So I have like a little bit of this gold trim left over from my Princess Genevieve cosplay. And I have some up in my closet too. There's a couple of trims up in my closet that I might get in order to make this look really pretty. Then I know this trim exists and I think it would look really pretty on the front, but I'm gonna have to put it on and see what my friend says. So now there's this pretty lace trim that has a bit of gold in it that I might use for the sleeves, which would mean if I want the gold to shine, I might paint the edges of it gold as well. I'm not sure how I'm gonna do that yet. I know I have gold paint. I also have gold ink for resin, and I don't know how well that's gonna, I don't know how well that's gonna go. So I'm gonna pull that out. So let's see, we got this, which could mimic her floof around her neck. It is a little faded from the see-through white, so maybe I can go brighten it up and wash it or something. So that's a contender. Maybe this one as well, so I'll keep that one out as well. So I have my lace selection so far, and I'm gonna go put them against the bodice and see how it looks. So my friend decided on this trim, and I thought, you know what, let me get out some gold paint and paint the edges of it gold just to make it a little bit more pretty. So now it is time to attach the trim to the neckline of the bodice and sleeves. Right here, I am actually taking the trim down to size to where it needs to be, and I'm taking the edges and gathering them into the neckline so that the raw edges can be hidden inside the bias tape. Now it is time to do the sleeves. I'm going to put the trim in between the fashion layer and the lining layer so that I can just sew it on and make it a nice clean stitch line. With those pieces now sewn together like that, I'm now going to fold it vertically so I can sew it up the arm. And I made this mistake when I was doing this. I had to unpick where the cuff was so that I can push the trim out of the way and re-sew up the trim itself so that it wouldn't look a little weird. I wanted it to be freestanding trim. So after that, I sewed it all up and then the sleeve was done. So we have the bodice all put together. I'm not going to put any more pearls on until I'm 100% sure of what I need to do. And this dress form is way too big for this dress, but that is okay. For right now, we just need it to look at things. So what's going to happen is I'm making the lining right now. It's the same process I made for the bodice, for the fashion layer. And then I got to fix that bead. So what's going to happen is that there's going to be eyelets in the back, right? But I want to have a piece of boning in the back as well in order to keep this up so it doesn't flop over like it did with my Vaporeon cosplay, because I didn't do that. Of course I didn't do that. So I am working on that. I'm putting a piece of 12 tape on one side of the back. The rest of it's not going to be boned. I don't think it needs it. I think it's sturdy enough as it is. It stands up on its own with the interfacing, so it should be okay. So I'm working on that right now. And then when it comes to the decorations on the top and the bottom, I'm actually going to do things a little backwards than what I normally do when it comes to bodices. I'm going to put the decorations on, and then I'm going to put the lining on only on this portion, and then flip it inside out to make this seam clean, and then we're gonna hand sew the bottom and the top in along with the inside of the sleeves. And with that, the bodice will be done. It will be done. And this is going way faster than Swan Lake. I'm just happy. So I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to hem the seams of the skirts and then put that waistband on, put the pocket in. And then, oh my goodness, I think at that point the dress is done. I think that's all I have to do left with this dress. And this is, whew, I really sped through this one. And then I gotta go on to do other stuff. We are on the final bit of putting in the eyelets. So I'm using my eyelet press, which I'm still trying to figure out how much pressure I should put, how much like, this is just a confusing thing. I've accidentally cut holes into things that I didn't mean to cut holes into. Anyways, so I'm using my eyelet press, and then after I put the eyelets in, I'm actually going to take some pink embroidery floss and just hide the silver behind it, just to give it more of a traditional look, a more historic look, really. And with that, the dress is done, and off to the reveal and to see my friend's reaction.
I'm so excited to see it. Oh my god, it's so beautiful.
Alright, let's get it on you. Look at that pretty princess. I didn't lace it all the way, but it's okay. We care if it fits. Do a little jumpy thing. Whirl. You and it's a Makima, right? You and your Makima wig. Yeah, I think maybe a petticoat would be nice underneath it.
Yes.
To poop it out even more. And to hide the hoop skirt works really well on it too. Yeah, exactly. I'm so glad of how it came out. If you want to come for it tomorrow.